Now, be honest with you folks, I have not seen Endgame yet, but of course when you look on YouTube and everything, there are spoilers. You look on Wikipedia, they have spoilers and stuff, but you know, it's hard to avoid the spoilers. And for me, yeah, I did kind of read on Wikipedia what kind of happened. I hear what people have to say. And quite honestly, it is kind of shocking, some of the things that take place. But when I think about it, I think it's expected, seeing as though they want to move on to other projects in the future. But what got me thinking recently was, okay, lately we have seen a lot of franchises, whether the movies or shows, animated or live action, that have had these big baddies that the only way to defeat them is to do something that might change things up a little bit, might alter things in a sense. And when people looked at Grogar and saw how powerful he is, well, basically heard how powerful he is and in some ways saw how powerful he is, a lot of people would assume he's kind of like the Thanos of MLP, FIM. He's basically so powerful that it's going to take some kind of miraculous kind of magic to defeat him. Now I came up with an idea basically that I think they could end up going, and that is all of the main six or main seven encompassing all six elements, not just the one element they represent, but all six of them. Because by having each of the main six encompassing and having all six elements residing within them, that could prove to be the kind of magic and power that's needed to defeat Grogar. But I also thought about this theory. You see, I'm not saying that the creative staff would go in this direction or anything with the characters, but when one thinks about it, if they're positioning Grogar to be this powerful big bad, and he's supposed to be the father of all monsters, basically the father of darkness, if you put it that way, then I would not be surprised if they go this route maybe down the line to really put an emphasis on how big the situation is, how important the moment is, for the characters in the battle against Grogar for the future of Equestria. And that is to kind of do something similar, not identical, but similar to what was done in Endgame. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, well, haven't we seen that before with the QT remark in the Season 5 finale? True, we saw something similar, but what we saw there was basically Starlight trying to create a world where cutie marks did not exist, and every pony in her mind at that time were equal. They didn't have to rely on having a special talent to be different. They were equal. Everybody could live a normal life without having to go on missions and do this and that. That was the thought process at the time. Here, we're talking about the characters probably going back in time and defeating Grogar at the beginning so that none of what happens in the future, none of the darkness, Pony Shadows, potentially Discord, which I don't think they probably do, but anything that was created from Grogar ceases to be, and basically the future will be set in the right direction. Like basically, I think if you're going to make the stakes higher than they've ever been, I'm not saying they would do it, but I would not put it past the creative team to go in this direction and have Twilight, or have the main six, main seven, main eight, the young six, the student six, whoever, maybe all of them, go through time to stop to the very beginning of when Grogar began his reign and stop him there. Because if you stop the main baddie at the source of his power at his beginning, then you pretty much free up maybe the future to be without any threats. Now, you might say there's no way they would do that. I'm not saying they would. I'm just saying this is a theory, this is a speculation of potentially one direction they could go in. Because when you think about it, if they're positioning Grogar to be this big old bad, I would not put it past Hasbro or the creative team behind MLP, FIM, after seeing this episode to maybe do something like that. I mean, not seeing the episode, but seeing this movie to do something like that. Now, I'm not saying they're going to do that, seeing as though they probably are putting the finishing touches on the final episodes right now as we speak. But I wouldn't put it past them to go in a direction like that in the future. I wouldn't. I mean, when you think about it, it logically would make a lot of sense. I mean, you could do if you're building Grogar up to be this big baddie, you could build up a moment where Twilight's like, I've had enough of this. Well, Twilight and her friends and maybe the princesses and all of them are like, you know what, we've had enough of this. We have had enough of all these threats coming into Equestria, disturbing us, ruining our lives, and for what? And maybe the objective may be to go back in time and defeat Grogar at his source, and thus, maybe in their minds, end any potential darkness. Now, that's one direction they could go in, but there would be a risk. That risk is they could alternate or erase any potential friendships they made in the future, or they can save them before they have to save them. In other words, like with Starlight, Starlight wouldn't have to go the direction she did in season 5. If they defeat the darkness at its source, someone like Starlight would become who she is now. The same with someone like, let's say, like Luna. We wouldn't have to worry about Luna becoming Nightmare Moon, or Stygian becoming part of the Pony of Shadows. Because if they do what I theorize they could end up doing, or potentially could be one of the things they end up doing, it could actually be something that would get people talking for a long time, even after the series is over, because they'll be questioning, they'll be still talking about maybe the things they liked, the things they didn't like, the things they didn't like, the things they liked, stuff like that. Even though they do that now, what I'm getting at is that if they decide to go in that direction, theorizing, if they decide to go in that direction for the finale, one, I wouldn't be against it, and two, it would actually be a great storytelling because of the potential risk is they'd be taking, the potential friendships that could either be kept or erased. To me, like I said, I'm not going to put it past the MLP FIM creative staff to do something like that. I wouldn't. They're seeing the success that these movies like Avengers and Endgame are having, so I wouldn't put it past them, if you will, and I'm just checking something that's just a reflection off my camera, but again, I wouldn't put it past them to do something like this in the future. I wouldn't put it past them to do it for the finale. Because again, if you're hyping up Grogar and building him up throughout the season as the baddie of all bads, the father of all monsters, the father of darkness, if you will, that could be a direction to go in. Defeat him at his source before he has a chance to run wild, has a chance to reign over the way he does. Because if you defeat the darkness at its source, at the very beginning, then anything that the darkness had influence over ceases to be, and those ponies and creatures can live a more peaceful life. And things may still go the way they're supposed to, but with a few changes. Like there's no remembrance of someone like a T-Rex. There's no remembrance of a pony of shadows, or the nightmare magic, or whatever. So, to me, when I hear what people had to say about Avengers Endgame, and then I read about what happens, to me, it got me thinking that could we possibly see something identical, if not similar, or if not more similar in story for the season 9 of finale when we get to that point. Because when you think about it, it would make a lot of sense. Now, again, this is mere speculation and theorizing, because they may just go the route where, Grogar is going to have his new minions, T-Rex, Crystallis, Cozy Glow, and if he wants to bring him back, Sabra, look for his bell so he can get his ultimate power back. That'd probably be the direction they go in to lead us into that finale, into the second half. That's going to have more emphasis on the ending of the series. But we'll just have to wait and see. Again, what I'm just bringing up is mere speculation and theorizing. That's about it, guys. That's really about it. So, with that in mind, let me know what you all think. Do you think do you agree with my theory and my speculation that there's a chance they could probably do something like that? Or do you think they'll just go in the direction of where Grogar's bell will be found, and then that's kind of what will help us give us the meat, if you will, of the second half of season 9. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear from each and one of you, and I'll talk to you all later.